Patience and honest, unbiased, and unconditioned free will are required to know reality in its totality. There is a fractional understanding, and then there is the whole understanding. The text we are studying at present takes us on the journey from the partial to the entire. Namaskar, friends. Moving ahead, considering the practical and absolute viewpoints, now we come to the practical and absolute knower. The subject matter of Samaisar indicates that each of us is a practical knower about some subjects and a real knower about a few. Let's take an example. Someone is going to be married soon. The married people around him keep giving pieces of advice to him about life post marriage. Some would say marriage is not as great of a thing as depicted by our elders, whereas some would suggest marriage is indeed a spiritual union of two souls. Besides these bits of advice, the person who is going to get married would also have some observations about this communion. But note that he has not yet experienced it. So we can say that until he gets married, he is a practical knower. Whereas after marriage, when he is really experiencing how it feels to be married, he can be called the real knower. In the context of experiencing the soul, our teacher Acharya Kunda says that the practical viewpoint does not reveal the complete reality but is only indicative. Whereas the absolute viewpoint is when you really understand and experience the essence of soul. Hence, the person who aims to adopt the absolute viewpoint is the one who is pursuing the right path. Through these talks, we are getting to know what the real soul is. Hence, these talks belong to the practical viewpoint because we are using words and videos and images. And once we start having peaceful glimpses of our inner world, we will know how it feels to realize who we really are. Then only it will be called the absolute viewpoint. So, if we ask ourselves to compare the status of these two viewpoints, we now know that the practical viewpoint is for the layman and hence is of a lower status. In contrast, the absolute viewpoint belongs to those who have experienced the glory of the self and therefore it has a higher position. The universal truth is that though each of us is at the level of understanding the practical viewpoint, the absolute viewpoint is accessible to each of us too at all times. Here, please be sure that the absolute viewpoint transcends the boundaries of caste, creed, gender, time, age, senses, and mind. Not only that, but also it keeps giving us peaceful glimpses during our understanding of the practical viewpoint. For example, if the subject matter of this text fills you with a feeling of peace and calm, you are already having the glimpse of the absolute. Another interesting query we all deal with while understanding these two viewpoints is that if the absolute view is so important and necessary and describes the truth in its totality, why do we need to understand the practical view in the first place? Well, while studying this text, we will gradually see that Acharya conveys that to get to the ultimate reality, one first needs to cross over the sea of relative reality. For example, a student cannot jump straight to his final degree without passing the different stages of the exam. He needs to have an overall understanding of his course, and each student has different abilities. Some understand the course's subject matter quickly, whereas some need more time and experience. Besides this, we must remember that the practical viewpoint does not know the absolute, whereas the absolute perspective knows all aspects and dimensions of the practical. Hence, it becomes necessary and relevant to first focus on understanding the practical perspective to grasp the absolute eventually. So, at last, I would like to throw light upon 5 key takeaways from today's episode. First is, through studying this text, we get to know the soul from the practical viewpoint. Most of us have not yet experienced it. However, these episodes will prepare the ground for us that will act as a cause in the future to experience the soul. Second, let us take an example from our surroundings. A child is unaware of the harm caused by drinking unfiltered water. Hence, he drinks water straight from the tap. But as soon as the same child grows and becomes informed about the health hazard that unfiltered water can cause, he learns to filter the water to separate the impurities and drink only clean water. Not only that, but if clean, filtered water is not available, he won't drink the unfiltered water at any cost, as now he has a certain kind of knowledge which beware him. In the same way, this text teaches us to separate the impurities and to adopt what is worthy of acceptance. Third key takeaway is, as the absolute viewpoint is the highest and knows all the aspects of everything in their totality, we must neither hurry to understand it nor underestimate the importance of the practical viewpoint. The more we understand the practical viewpoint, the closer we get to knowing the absolute. Fourth, absolute viewpoint is the subject matter of realization. We cannot force or impose it. Just like we cannot live our lives beforehand, we must wait to reach a certain age to experience certain things. We need a lot of patience to get to the essence of the absolute viewpoint. In this context, observing nature plays a vital role. Let us remember this quote: nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. And last but not least, the fifth takeaway from today's talk is, through the learnings of Samay Sar, we are traveling the journey from that which keeps changing to that which is permanent. Hence, we must keep our focus on understanding the same. With this, friends, I take your leave. Wish you a great week ahead. Take care. Namaskar and goodbye.